Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Neighborish livecast. I'm Super Dave, aka Mr. Incredible, and with me, as always, I see one of my hosts coming in is my man, 100 Grand, just Mike. What's up, brother?
Hey man, it's good to be here. Good to see y'all. Miss Aisha's here. Miss Caroline's here. Let's roll.
Yeah. I'm gonna give her a second to get herself hooked up and in there. That's your intro, Ish?
I'm getting the detox of these children off of me because it's summer camp at Isha's house right now.
I know. Yeah, so the voice that you hear right now is our very own one part of our feminine energy, Black girl magic with the velvety smooth voice, Miss Aisha Green. How you doing?
Hey David, I would show myself, but I'm looking crazy because ever since I've had the children, I just don't care anymore. So that's
when you say had the children, that's always interesting to hear you say. You mean ever since you
yeah, since my nieces are baby. No, not no 7 and 10-year-olds. No, these raggedy kids. These raggedy kids, I ain't got time for that. No.
But yeah, they came over Auntie Isha's house to have a good time, huh?
That is literally what they're here for. They're just in the backyard in the pool, acting a fool, and there's that.
Mike, did you know she had a pool in the backyard? Did she tell us that?
I'm a little irritated,
I feel some type of way.
It's for children. Look, it's for children. So it's just a child pool. They don't
got a big ass tub.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. It's just an oversized foot. Look here, and here they are.
And there they are. Well, look, we got a great show for you guys today because our guest today, I was just talking to her about how long ago we met. It was longer than 10 years because, and that's weird to say because I feel like I'm only like 17, but I ain't need the ooh Isha, but anyway, but yeah, I was working on my first album that I put together called The Southeast Baby. I was at Listen Vision Studios working with an awesome engineer by the name of Javier. Shout out to Javier. And his friend came up to hang out, and yeah, that's where I met her. And so fast forward to maybe 6 years ago, she reached out to me and was like, Dave, I'm starting a festival. And I was like, okay, and she's like, I want to do this. It's based around cannabis. And I was like, okay. But we met, sat down and talked to her, seeing the passion and the focus in this young lady's voice and in her face. I knew it was going to be something huge. Here we are 6 years later, and the National Cannabis Festival is the premier cannabis event. I'm saying the world. I'm going to go that far.
It's in the nation's capital. It's in the nation's capital.
Definitely 100%. But I'm speaking of the heart and soul of the National Cannabis Festival. Miss Caroline Phillips is with us. How are you? It's so good to see you.
I am great. Thank you guys so much for having me here tonight. It feels like so long ago that we last got to do this. So I'm just excited to be back and excited to be about a month out from the next festival, finally.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. It does feel like a long time because 2020 was 7 years ago. So it's been a while now, but yeah, it feels like that just because so much has happened in that time.
It does.
But yeah, man, I'm so excited to talk to you. We finally back. It's gonna be live August 28th. You got some great events, great guests and everything. We're gonna talk about it. It's a couple of things that's going on in the city, in the country, in the world. I want to talk about.
What you just showed? What was that you just showed?
Oh, is that the flyer? Is that the official flyer?
Oh man, Method Man, Red Man. Who else?
Mm-hmm.
Young Mom. Back gonna be out there. Antivirals. My eyes is not that good.
That's a crazy lineup. Oh, and look, we giving away some tickets. I don't know if you heard, but we about to do it. We I don't know why. I don't think I can.
Miss Caroline, say something.
Is she still on? I don't see her.
Yeah, no, I'm right here.
Oh, okay, yeah. You muted. Okay, that's cool. But yeah, I wanted to make sure I didn't lose you. But yeah, I'm giving away 2 tickets. So if you're watching, go ahead and post right now and say I want those tickets. And
not that easy, Dave. They got to answer a trivia question, Dave.
You want to answer a trivia question? No, I already put it out there, so that's what we're doing. I want those tickets. I'm gonna pick somebody at the end of the show. They're gonna get 2 tickets to the National Cannabis Festival. I've already purchased the tickets, and I got to give them away. And so I want to give them to somebody. And
Yes,
I'm
indeed.
excited about that. It's gonna be fun.
Well, we can throw in 2 more if you want to give them to 2 lucky somebodies.
Oh, okay. Caroline just added 2 more, so we'll pick 2 people. That'll be dope. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. So I'll pick 2 people, and 2 people are gonna get 2 tickets, so you and a friend can go to the National Cannabis Festival. That's dope. August 28th. So let's talk a little bit about some stuff going on in the world. So Aisha, I wanted to talk to you first. You said you got you entertaining your nieces and nephews. How many young ones you got over there?
I have 5 young people in my home right now, David.
What the hell are you doing? What's wrong with you?
That's why I said 2. They always send like a pack. I don't ever get like 2 at a time. It's always a small.
You said pride.
5. It's a pride of children. Is that what it is? A herd of children.
So I'm glad you're here though, because I wanted to talk a little bit about one of the big things about summertime and having a bunch of kids is what to do with them. You get tired of doing the same stuff. You go to the pool, you go to the playground, you go to the movies. What kind of stuff are you doing to keep the kids entertained this summer?
Yeah. So with the kids, we have a Top Golf outing scheduled. And I try to get them into like creative things, so arts and crafts. So, we did some clay pottery earlier this weekend, and we did some painting last week. I want to have them do some graffiti art. So I got to get some large canvases for them so that they can paint those. Anything to get their creative energy out so they can express themselves. And outside of my home, because when they're in the house, they are manic. So I like having them outdoors so they can get some fresh air and some vitamin D, and they can obliterate the backyard and I won't feel away.
Okay. And so what has anything just not worked at all? What was like?
I don't know. Let me ask the kids. Sinai. She just walked away. So
see,
yeah.
Well, I guess that didn't work just then.
No, that definitely did not work. But young people now. Hey, Sinclair. I did say Sinai. I called your name. Come here, Sinai, Sinclair. What did you guys do this summer with Auntie Isha that y'all really liked?
I'm doing my favorite thing. To the pool. Yeah, we went to the pool, went to the park, and we did some H&M. Yeah, we found the jelly fruits. And what's the thing we did?
They went grocery shopping.
And we did molding, not molding, that thing.
With the clay?
Pottery. And we did painting.
Yeah, you guys had a good time with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
My favorite part was going to the grocery shop.
That's so interesting. I'm trying to remember how it was as a little kid. Mike, you ever did pottery as a kid?
Thank you.
What? We don't have pottery environment in the lower south portion of the District of Columbia or Maryland.
It was a different kind of pottery that Mike did as a kid. It was more like the pottery that.
No, but what she's doing is she's trying, and it's all for naught because they are heathens. They're all heathens.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's telling the truth.
Drop me off at the library before work and then pick me up after work.
Yeah,
there you go. And
I
look,
stay in the library all day.
If I didn't feel like there were these predators who'd steal them, like if they were my kids, I might be a little easier with it. But they're my siblings. Yeah, but they're my siblings, so they're gonna want their kids back. But we used to be like that. Like
what made you get 5 of the, like 5?
You say what made me. What you need to ask how they end up with, not what made me, because you can't just get one and not all. You got to get everybody. Okay. It's not like I can say,
if they bad, they bad. You stay your little ass right there. That's what you tell them.
Well, but hold, I took one home early though. One did have to get escorted home early because he had behavioral issues, and having 5 children, I can't have a 6th one that is basically the spawn of Satan. I cannot entertain this.
Oh wow.
too many children. So
well, yeah, I just wanted to get some pointers for any of the parents that's watching anything that they might be
take them outside, take them roller skating, and take them hula hoop, take them outdoors so that they can hula hoop and whatever it is. You know, I still have a Wii that just shows you how long I've been out of the Nintendo game. They play on the Wii like it's 2006. They love the Wii. I got a Switch that I never use, but I have for when the children come to visit. They love Roblox. They love YouTube, and they especially love TikTok. Really like TikTok.
The kids are really into the TikToks these days. No, but yeah, man. So thanks for that. I definitely just wanted to give people a couple of looks because I know you're usually pretty good at entertaining, you know, and keeping the kids. And I know people have issues with trying to find just something to do. You don't want your kids sitting around the house all summer. You know, what'd you do this summer? I sat around, did nothing, watching movies, you know. But so yeah, man, I appreciate the pointers. So I'm also glad you're here. I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple of things that happened. The Space Jam movie that LeBron James starred in. I've been hearing a lot of negative things about it. First of all, have any of you seen it?
I did.
You did? What'd you think of it?
So, if you are not a fan of LeBron James, you will hate Space Jam.
Okay.
Definitely, you will hate Space Jam for sure. I thought it was appropriate for children. It is a child-centric movie. I appreciated some of the callbacks they did to the original Space Jam. You know, some of the references like to Michael Jordan. Some of the references they made to Notorious B.I.G.
Okay.
It was yeah, I think they did a good job for this generation. Of course I'm going to be nostalgic and prefer the original, but I didn't have any problems with it. So.
Okay. Mike, Caroline, did either of you get to see it?
Nope.
I've seen it on HBO Max, and I was like, nah, I'm good.
So I know y'all like, why am I talking about this movie? The reason I brought that up is another story about LeBron that I just recently heard that he's the first NBA player who, during his tenure as a player, has become a billionaire.
Yeah.
So the B in LeBron now stands for billionaire. So I mean that's a huge accomplishment for any person of color, any person, period. But this that's kind of dope, man. I know a lot of people, you know, feel some type of way about LeBron, but to make it to a Billy in 2021, does it seem more accessible these days? Does it seem like something that's not, you know, I remember when being a millionaire was something that was, you know, people were aspiring to. And not that people aren't aspiring to it, but it seems like there's a few more billionaires these days. It seems like it's something that like I feel like I can get there. I feel like I can get there. What you think, Mike? You gonna see a Billy before it's all over?
It would be no good for the world. I'll tell you that right now. they hear about me, and it's a whole nother story. But what is our story? You know, is it the billionaire or is it the lottery? How you gonna get $1 billion if you're not LeBron James? You earned that from day one. It was destined. You know, he was already given a blueprint. So it is what it is.
So when you hear stuff like that about like people like LeBron, I mean, does it feel like something? So the way you just said it, it seems like do you feel like it's something that's attainable for you? Like, do you think you could ever see $1 billion?
I don't want to see $1 billion. If I see about 47 mil, it's a problem. You understand that? It's a problem. I mean, it is what it is.
Man,
a billion next generation. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's all of the ball game.
Yeah. And Caroline, you're pretty close to a billion, right? You, no, I'm just messing with you. I'm just, but no, like, doesn't it seem more attainable now? It seems like more people are kind of, you know, reaching that mark.
I don't know. I think it's almost more like the wealth gap is becoming more pronounced.
Okay.
So you hear about people getting really rich now, and you hear about people kind of diving into poverty.
That's true.
And I think that's, you know, also a side effect of the past year and a half plus that we've all been living through, like some people losing all of their work and other people really being able to benefit from what's been going on.
Right. That's true.
Not to take anything away from LeBron. I think he fully deserves his $1 billion. So good for him.
Right. Yeah, man. That's I thought it was an interesting story for him to reach that milestone. So I did say I wanted to talk a little bit about last week we touched on Jason and the program that he's working with, Cedar United. And I wanted to talk about it a little more, as a little refresher. The community development and mentorship program called Cedar United. They have a website, Cedar, SEDAR, United.com. And the reason I brought it up last week is it was in the wake of, there's been a lot of gun violence going on in the city and a lot of young people involved in not just gun violence, but there's a new initiative towards slowing down a lot of the carjackings and different things that kids are getting into these days, just having not really having too much of anything to do in these summer months, like I was just talking to Aisha about, and it's headed in a negative direction. Like murders are up, violent crimes, things of that nature, and things involving these young people are definitely on the rise. And so I want to make sure I see a lot of people on social media talking about, talking about the problem and, harping on the problem, and it's an issue, and it definitely is. And I understand discussing that discussion is where solutions come from, but I want to be more solution based. And so I want to let you guys know about this program because, I don't know if it's like the end all be all or the answer, but it's something that you can do right now. So basically what it is a mentorship program and a community development program started by Jason, that was hosting this show with me for a while. And he's moved on to doing that. And it's an amazing program. They're taking these young kids and giving them purpose, giving them vision, and just spending time with them and giving them a lot of things that they're missing from having mentors and older people in their lives to give them wisdom and friendship and companionship and things of that nature to guide them in a better direction. So instead of just talking about it on social media, I'm challenging everybody to reach out to this organization. Like I said, they have the website is CEDAR United.com. Their email address is 1cedarunited@gmail. Their phone number is 526-8612. I can't read my own handwriting. But and I'll put everything up so y'all can see it. Look, if you can't donate, they always need money, but if you can't donate that, reach out to them, give your time, give your expertise, something to help out. Instead of just talking about it, let's be more a part of the solution and more proactive about getting in these kids' lives and showing them that it's more to live for and more to do than what they're doing right now. So that's my moment to preach to y'all. I'm gonna get off of that, but I just wanted to champion that real quick because it's a dope initiative and it's really making some changes in people's lives, and they can do so much more with your help. So anybody that has the time, money, love, something you can give to some young people that need it, check out their website or reach out to them and let them know how you can help. And it's definitely appreciated. So with that being said, it's not too much going on. I did want to talk, Isha, I did want to talk about the verses coming up. You heard the Dipset versus the Locks. Ish?
I'm sorry, I'm here. I was
woman, she better be
Veronica.
beating them kids' ass. You better
Right? No.
punch them in the throat.
I was not assaulting the children. Was not assaulting the children.
You weren't assaulting the kids.
It was not assaulting them. Yeah, I heard about the Dipset versus the Locks. So I have a preference for the Locks, but I would probably say Dipset will win this for sure.
You think so? You think
I
they
do.
have?
I think that like Jim Jones and Jules Santana, Cam, they got a strong little set, yeah.
But do you think that catalog can see like Jada and see? I differ. I'm leaning more toward the Locks. I feel like
I prefer the Locks. I prefer them, but I feel like the catalog of the Dipset is, yeah.
Okay.
Cam was a move. Like Cam was definitely a movement for sure.
He did a lot of work. He wrote for a lot of people too.
Dipset.
Mike, you got a preference in this?
Yeah, Scarface.
Scarface.
Oh Lord. Okay. Thank you, Mike.
Caroline, have you been following any of the versus battles that they've been doing?
I have been, yeah. There was a really good meth and red one. That was,
Oh
a,
yeah.
that was a good show.
That was a great
I'm a little biased, but I of course really enjoyed that one.
right. That's a great plug for
Yeah.
yeah, but their shows are amazing though. Like I got an opportunity to see them live, and I'm excited about seeing them live again. At the National Cannabis Festival, August 28th.
August 28th.
Yeah.
Can we
So,
bring like lawn chairs and just sit there and smoke?
You can bring lawn chairs, you can come and hang out for the day, food trucks, exhibitors, education pavilions. There's so much to do.
Alcohol, no.
Alcohol, yes. Lots of
Oh,
alcohol. Not lots
okay.
of alcohol like that, but like what I mean is that if you want to go to an event in DC and not have to wait in line for alcohol, this is the one. So you can get as much alcohol as you want because there's not going to be a line.
Oh wow, that's good to know. So that's a great, thank you, Mike. That's a great segue into talking about this amazing festival that's going on August 28th. You got Redman and Method Man headlining. So I did hear a rumor maybe 2 or 3 years ago, that they were trying to make, to shut down any weed or any actual cannabis at the cannabis festival. Was that true? Were they trying to make it where you guys couldn't have any cannabis?
I don't know if there's ever a plan to do anything. It's not shared with us. We don't have any special relationship with MPD or DCRA or anyone that would say what does or doesn't happen on site. I think that what people have noticed over the years is that by and large, the exhibitors and the attendees at the festival are respectful and acting in a responsible way. And I think that our city has bigger fish to fry than a bunch of adults at a permitted event, and who are acting in a peaceful manner than messing with them. So, I think that what goes on at the festival is a good example of, do we want our police officers policing peaceful cannabis consumers, or do we want them out on the streets making sure that things are safe? Or do we not want police officers at all? Do we want more social services out on our streets? But, I think that what we go through in National Cannabis Festival is sort of an example of looking at how we resource our police in the city.
Miss Caroline, where are you from?
I'm from DC. I grew up in the city.
Like, do you remember Lafayette Square, the Great American Smoking?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
My mother took me to it when I was 14.
I think right? I think I started going when I was like 16.
I was high as shit. And then I came out from Metro Center up on the mall, and a park police horse was right there. And I was so high, I ain't see the horse. The horse got like right there. What the fuck is going on? Blew my high for about 5 minutes. But the Great American Smoking was something serious. Cause you look around and I'm like, Mom, are you serious for real? She's like, chill, relax.
And it was a peaceful event. Like, you didn't hear about any issues there. And I think that, there's still, of course, a large stigma that exists around the cannabis community and around the legacy market, especially. And there's like a want and habit, it seems like, from certain authorities to really want to criminalize those people. But, cannabis, in the cannabis community, it's like, peaceful people, and a lot of people use cannabis for medicine, not just for recreation. So I don't know. It's interesting. I really hope that we're getting towards a time in DC where we have more progressive laws and where we're really thinking about where we want to resource the authorities that we do have in the city as far as like law enforcement goes.
What sparked your flame? What made you say, you know what, I'm sick of this, I'm doing this in a festival blossom? How'd that happen?
I got hired to work an event in DC that took place right like the weekend that Initiative 71 was becoming law.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, I'd done like a happy hour with my dispensary, the one that I went to, because I wanted to meet other customers. So it was just like amazing to see all the interesting people that came to this happy hour we put on. But I got hired to do this conference. And on the day of the conference, I got there and I just looked around the room at the attendees, and it was all older white men. And that, I was like, these people must have driven in from, I don't know where, but like, this is a conference I know a lot of people in DC would attend. I wonder why there aren't more people here. Well, it turns out the tickets were $600 or $700. They had all of these activists come and speak for free, but they didn't donate to their organizations. You know, they had all of these people attend, but they didn't think to like reinvest in our city at all. And that really rubbed me the wrong way because at the time I'd been working in human rights and like, you know, civil rights and stuff like that. And I know that especially when new industries start to flourish and come online, it's really important that the surrounding community that's impacted by that industry is taken into account. So I really wanted to put on an event that gave DC residents a voice in how our cannabis story is told. Like, I think there's so many cool cannabis events in the United States. You think about things like the High Times Cannabis Cup, like Outside Lands. Those are all great events, but they're great events run by people that live in LA or live on the West Coast. And our war on drugs story on the East Coast is so different. The war on drugs has been going on longer and harder here. They've had different levels of legalization in places like California for much longer than we have. That doesn't mean that Black and brown people weren't still being locked up at a disproportionate rate, but just compared to how things were being treated on the East Coast still, you know, I think it's just really different here. So I wanted to make sure that we got to tell our own story and that this didn't just become some, you know, kind of corporate cannabis festival that local companies couldn't afford to be part of.
Right, that's dope. And you spoke about the legal aspect of it. So I was thinking about this interview, I was thinking about some things that I really wanted to ask you, knowing that you had some expertise on it. And one of those things was, so for someone like me who's not really in the industry, it looks as if there has been some strides and some positive movement in litigation and things of that nature from legalizing. You hear so much about the legalization movement, and then even with on the criminal justice side of it, where some municipalities are looking at or either have begun to expunge or overturn nonviolent offenders sentences and things of that nature. So from what we see in the news and things like that, it looks like things are moving, but from someone who's in it, what do we need to know? Is what we see accurate, an accurate depiction of what's going on, or what's needing to happen?
So what you're saying is right and wrong. And I think that's kind of the conundrum with cannabis in the United States right now, because we don't have a federal mandate that says what's legal and what isn't. You go state to state and the rules are different, and the rules are different in such a nuanced way that you could see someone easily driving from DC into Virginia and getting locked up in Virginia because they have a bit more weight than they're supposed to be.
85%, baby, they show ass.
Yeah, so I think that that's one of the big challenges that we face right now. And for me personally, when I look at the landscape and the outlook for DC cannabis, that's just confusing. You know, it's like, why don't we have an adult use system? You know, why do we still have to figure out which businesses are legal and which aren't? Why hasn't the DC Council been allowed to execute on the will of DC voters who 6 years ago said that we wanted to have a taxed and regulated cannabis system in our city beyond just medical, but also for adult use? So, you know, I think that we've seen great progress in the past 6 months with council members introducing legislation that includes a lot of community reinvestment and includes social equity measures that make sure that Black people and brown people in our city and folks who've been impacted by the war on drugs are put first when we're looking at new licenses. But we can't do anything because Congress has this rider that says that if DC moves forward with adult use, that they will pull other funds from us for other social services. Yeah, so that's problematic still. So we're 6 years later with this weird system that has made people both in the license market and the legacy market feel some kind of way. And if you asked me 6 years ago when I called you to be like, hey, I'm going to put on this festival, if you'd asked me if I thought I would still be producing a festival in conditions where with such a lack of clarity, I'd be like, no, are you kidding? Like, of course You know, of course, like legislators are going to make decisions. Of course, Congress is going to realize that if DC voters say they want this, then they should have it. But that's not quite what happened. So here we are in this kind of strange limbo still. So that's my long answer to a kind of crazy question.
No, that's, yeah, it's an in-depth answer, and that's exactly what I was looking for. Thank you for understanding my question as piecemeal as it was. So I do want to talk a little bit about the stigma. You were on here, you know, a year ago, and we also had a young lady by the name of Jamila Hogan, who's another pioneer female in the cannabis industry in this area. And we talked some about like one of the reasons for a lot of the issues is the negative connotations and stigma that is still around cannabis as a plant, as, you know, medicine, as what it is. So what are some of the negative stereotypes or stigmas that you guys are trying to break away from? And what are some of the ways that the cannabis industry is trying to achieve that?
I mean, there's so many stigmas. I think the one that has been hurting my feelings the most this week is this correlation that certain authorities in DC have been trying to make between violence in our city and cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's pressing the easy button when you want to say what you think the issues are in our city, and that if you dig deeper, this is a social service issue. This is an education issue. It's a housing issue. It's like a public resource issue. It's a mental health issue. And to try and say it's because of weed, I'm like, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Some people have been out of work so long that they're looking for any way they can to feed their family or to pay their bills or to make themselves feel stable. So, you know, I think for a long time, cannabis consumers and people in the industry have been looked at as like counterculture or underground or somehow seedy.
Right.
And it's just really quite remarkable at a time when we have these very like respected dispensaries in the city and that were allowed to stay open during COVID as essential businesses, that we also still have people using such outdated language and leaning on such outdated stigmas to kind of persecute a whole community of people.
Right. So, in your opinion, is there anything that people on the outside, like myself, or you know, can do to help with the movement, or if people want to, you know, offer time or donate or anything of that nature?
I mean, there are little things. I was just thinking, like, when we see these stories go up in the news on Facebook, you don't agree with them and say, hey, you know, comment on those. Yeah. People read that stuff. You know, I think that we're going to have DC council elections coming up again. Pay attention to that. Find out where your DC council members stand. I think that it's going to be really important that we support Congresswoman Norton in her efforts and support organizations like DC Vote, who are advocating for DC to get statehood. If we have statehood, then we get to enact our own laws without Congress threatening us. So I would encourage all DC residents to like really dig in on making sure that DC becomes a state. If you live outside DC, but you love DC and you have friends who live here, donate to groups like DC Vote and the ACLU of DC, because at a lot of times they're kind of our front line of defense when Congress comes to try and challenge the will of the people in our city.
Okay, thank you for that. Definitely, I wanted to make sure that people know what they can do to you know, to positively influence or help to positively influence what's been going on and what we're talking about. So I want to shift a little bit to talking about the festival itself. So one of the main things that I remember from that conversation that we had all those years ago, when you say you're putting on a festival, you talked about, you know, in that first year, as anyone might imagine, putting on something of this magnitude, it was a serious undertaking, to say the least. And so you talked about, you know, the stress involved and not sure where, you know, the funding would come from and all of that. So first of all, when did the shift start to happen from, you know, this being a plan and something that you were developing to, okay, this is really going to happen? Like, when did that shift take place? And also from then to now, what's the biggest lesson that you've learned? So we'll start with the first question. When did that shift from like, oh man, I don't know if this is gonna go, and this is to, my goodness, this is really happening? Like, do you remember when that took place?
I mean, I think there are a couple of points. I'd originally wanted the festival to be in 2015, but I couldn't find a venue and I couldn't make it happen. So I had to actually shift, but I knew that I told enough people my intention that I couldn't back away at that point. The second point that I kind of locked in and knew it was going to happen was about 8 months out. I emptied my savings account to put down a deposit at RFK Stadium. And I was like, well, I mean, if I lose that money, it's really going to suck. And all of these people are going to know I tried something and it didn't work out. So I have to make this work. And then I think the last time that I knew that it was locked in, because it went in phases, was probably February of 2016. I was like, I really am doing this. I have to do it now.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I think I've learned a lot over the years. It is not an easy, live events are not easy. In the past year, I think has demonstrated that. So many people that you all know, and of course, people like me and in my industry have been out of work. And that's not just live event producers, but it's stagehands, it's concession people that sell hot dogs at stadiums. It is janitorial staff, it's road managers, it's musicians. So many artists in our city have been out of work. So I think for me, what I've learned over the years, and especially in the past year, is try to really not react too much. There's a lot of stress in live events. If you've ever been involved with a festival, or even like for you, Dave, just like a production, like being on set, you're trying to create a vision for people and you've promised them a certain thing. You promised them certain quality of thing. So yeah, trying to just really execute on that and make sure that you're giving people
DC.
Yeah.
DC, we sit there for 20 minutes like, and then you better do something. You better bring on Michael Jackson or something, because we got to, and you're right. You're so right. You're so right. Thank you so much for working so hard, because I know it's got to be tireless. What I'm looking forward to is just like peace. Like, I don't want, the one thing I don't like about crowds is collectively people are stupid. Individually, we're geniuses, but collectively, as a group, we are some fucking fools. It's ridiculous. And it's scary, because it's like where we are now, we just relaxing, just some music, chilling, relax. It's not no drama, it's all love here, because that's what this is about. All of it.
So speaking of that, and kind of to piggyback off of what Mike was saying, I know that Redman and Method Man are headlining, and that's amazing. Like I said, their live performances are crazy. I got a chance to see them. But for someone like me who hasn't had an opportunity to experience the National Cannabis Festival in its entire glory yet, what can people expect? What are they going to see on the 28th when they arrive there?
We're going to get you high as shit, Dave. Watch, I can't wait. I'm going to get you.
I'm talking to Caroline. Shush, man.
Watch, get you fried.
I mean, it's like stepping into a cannabis fantasy city for a day. You get to see all of these incredible brands and arts and craft vendors, licensed cannabis companies telling you about their dispensaries. You can go into education spaces and learn from everything about local law to sex and cannabis. If you're over 65, you can go to our seniors lounge and hang out there. If you're a veteran, we've already given away our free veteran tickets, but we have a veterans lounge.
I know that's right. That's right.
Yeah, no, and that has like free food and beverages for them all day. The festival is a really fun day. We have a huge food court, and of course the concert all day. It's really good vibes. Attendees are from 21 to 75, 85, but it's really different than any event I've ever attended. And I think part of that is because cannabis touches so many people from so many walks of life in so many different ways. Like everybody knows, unfortunately, everybody knows, has a family member, has a friend, has someone in their life who has been sick and have been hoping for, if not used, an alternative medicine. A lot of folks know people who've served in our armed forces and came back not the same and would have loved to have an alternative medicine. A lot of us have experiences that we look back on fondly when we first experimented with cannabis as teenagers, even for people that don't have it as part of their daily life now. So in a way, it is part of like American culture, and it's really ingrained. So I think when you come to the festival, you get to see really the best of what our region has to offer, and you get to see what the future of a regulated cannabis industry and community could really look like. It's really fun just seeing all of the brands and all the creativity and all of the live art installations. So yeah, we're really looking forward to it this year, and making it to our 5th anniversary has felt like an uphill climb.
I'm not trying to blow you. You ready?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to blow you.
Okay.
I'm not trying to blow you. I'm not trying to blow you. I swear. I'm not.
All right, Mike's pretty high right now. Go ahead and ask the question, Mike.
Shut up, Dave. Shut up. I don't pass my J normally anyway into anybody other than my wife. With COVID, you can't hit my J cuz. This is all personal, right? Am I right?
Okay.
That's where we at with that, right?
I mean, asking Mike.
I'm not asking. It's like a law. Even before COVID, wasn't nobody hitting my J but my wife. But now here we are with COVID. You can't hit my J cuz I roll you one cuz it's not hitting my J. I mean, am I wrong?
You're really high, is what you are, Mike.
I'm asking a legitimate question. Should we be? I'm not about passing J's and hitting other people's.
Oh, so you're saying at the festival, you think they're gonna share? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, sir.
Is that what you're asking? Well, so I think that the interesting thing about most cannabis consumers is that we all actually have like awareness of our own health. And I think people will share J's within their pods. I think that we will see some really smart exhibitors come with loads of safe smoking items, like those mouthpiece filters that you can use to put on a bong, and then you can hit it like, using your own mouthpiece. I think that we're going to see a lot of people using their own safety devices. And yeah, a lot of people sitting in the circles I would have sat in anyway. Right. I mean, I don't know. I'm not one to show up at a public event and like grab a joint from someone I don't know. But I guess those folks are out there. I don't know. Hopefully they use their best judgment.
So before we go too far, I want to go back really quickly. So Mike and I had a conversation before. We usually talk a little bit before the show and talk about things that we want to talk and ask the people who are coming on in their area of expertise. And Mike brought up a good point about some of the other substances that have come up for legalization recently. We talked specifically about like the mushrooms and things of that nature. Outside of cannabis, like where do you stand on those other substances being legalized?
I mean, I think that we should decriminalize all drugs. I think that we should really be approaching drug use in general in a different way in this country. And, I think decriminalizing mushrooms in DC is a great step. I think there's a lot of education to be done in the community about the medical uses for mushrooms and how to use them safely.
Right.
That's definitely not something that I want to see a bunch of kids just like, hauling off and just being like, I'm gonna eat a handful. You're like, oh, that might not be a great idea. Yeah. But I would, I think that in this country, we've spent a lot of time and a lot of money persecuting people who have been sick with drug addictions instead of helping them. I think we've spent a lot of time persecuting people who would love to be legal business owners. So instead of giving them avenues to become business owners, we've been throwing them in jail. But I also understand that in this country, there's, an industry around imprisoning people and incarcerating people.
Exactly.
So I know that if we decriminalize all drugs, we're going to be pulling the rug out from that industry, but maybe it's time to act.
It's a whole other domino effect.
Think about what that would do to the population in the DC jail if we said, if you're anyone in here for a drug offense is out, if your first interaction with the law in our city had to do with drugs, raise your hand. Okay, we're gonna like relook at your sentencing because we all know about the cycle of incarceration. Once you've had your run-in with the law once, you run in again and again and more frequently for a lot of people. So it's an interesting thing. It's just like an interesting thing to look at. How many people in our city had their first interaction with the law because of drugs? And who were they hurting at the time?
Right, exactly. So Yeah, I just wanted to know, because it seemed like an interesting thing. Like you said, I think that there needs to be, efforts toward education, like there has been for cannabis. The strong efforts toward education toward the medicinal purposes and safe usage and things of that nature. When I first heard about the mushroom coming up for decriminalization, it was a guy like in front of the local grocery store, and he had a petition, and he wanted me to sign, and I'm like, well, but I don't feel like I know enough about it to put my name confidently and be like, I want this to happen. I just feel like I need more education on it too. But I know that there are, medicinal uses for them, and yeah, I just think it's
I
something
don't want that shit on my pizza.
right. But yeah, so over the past 5 years, you've had some amazing guests. You've been able to get some really big names to headline the festivals, and not just headline, to perform at the festivals. So did you have any that stood out as your favorite, Caroline? Anybody that that you were like, I really wanted to see their performance, and you got to do it? You got to see it?
And I think that having Biz Markie at the festival, you're wearing his shirt, so that's great. But that was like a really just great moment, I think, for me and my whole team. He was, fun. He was fun to work with. He had people starting to walk out of the exhibitor area to see what was going on the stage. He just really set such a great vibe for that afternoon. And he seemed to really enjoy himself.
Yeah.
So that was like I think that was just like a really nice moment. And now that he's gone, it feels like an even more special moment that we got him in the year when live events were still happening and before he passed. So, and he's from the area too. So I loved having him there. Of course, having Backyard every year, that's always, always, always special. That's when the local neighbors tend to come out and start lining up along the fence lines when Backyard comes out. So we really love that. But yeah, I think those are probably two of the things that I love most about our main stage.
That's dope. That's dope.
And we smoke out there on the street too.
Exactly.
Right.
We blow down, I tell you.
But yeah, Biz is one of those guys, man. Like I had an opportunity to meet him a couple of times. He did some stuff at Howard when I was there, and then a couple of other events we've been at. And yeah, like you said, his energy is was just infectious. And yeah, it's dope that you guys got a chance to experience that and have him come out and support. Like you said, in the year when things were still happening. So last year, right before the festival, you came on, we talked about it, and then COVID happened and everything. So, but you were able to shift a lot of the events last year to virtual events, which made it where you didn't have to completely shut down everything. So which is definitely a plus. With everything that was going on, in your estimation, how last year, how was kind of picking up the pieces and putting together? Because I feel like you were able to put together a quality experience with what you were able to do. Just seeing the events that you still had planned, the virtual things, that you were able to put together. In your opinion, how did that all go?
Well, I appreciate you saying that. To me, last year was wholly dissatisfying. I will tell you something. No, it's hard to like shift in what you're doing when you're so close to executing on what you've been working on for a year, which was the actual festival.
Right.
We're really lucky to be able to put on some good quality programs, but were they ever, I feel like I never met my vision for the quality that I wanted them to be. And that's because we aren't a television production company. Right. We're a live events company. And it was, for me, I was learning a whole new skill set. I was asking people on my team to be like, okay, we're shifting from live events to doing streaming things. It was really hard. I guess it was satisfying because we did learn and we did have some good experiences, but overall, I never want to have another like full year of virtual events again. You guys have to admit you were even like, apart from the versus battles, I think everything else, I'm like, if it's virtual and you're inviting me to it, I can watch it later. Like yeah.
Unless
it is like I can't do any more of the conferences. Did you do any of the awkward conferences with like the virtual meeting rooms where you would like press a button and someone random would be on the screen in front of you that you had to network with?
Yes,
It was too much for me. I'm like, this is too much.
I agree.
So I hope that we don't have to do another year of virtual festivals. It was really cool seeing the different things that people tried, but I know from talking to other folks in live events that we were all just like gritting our teeth and like, oh, we can't wait to get back to doing what we actually love. So this feels better this year. But I guess I can add virtual event producer to my resume.
Yeah, that's a great way to look on the bright side. And it's interesting in your answer, you said get back to doing something that we love. So this festival has become like something that you love pretty much. You built this thing from nothing pretty much. It was an idea that you had, and I don't know why I'm telling you all this. You know this, you did it. But it's dope that you were able to take something from that stage and come out with this.
How you just who applies for RFK? Like how do you go apply for that venue? How do you know?
It helps if you don't really know what you're doing. If I'd known what I was up against, I probably wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
But it was like peeling back layers of an onion. I didn't know what was underneath the next. But yeah.
You probably enjoyed you enjoyed it.
Yeah. So why a festival? Like when you first started it, what about the live festival made you say this is what I want to do, as opposed to any other type of live event?
I love creating event experiences, and festivals to me, it is like building a city for the day, like a mini city focused on one special thing. And I'd grown pretty notorious for these amazing front lawn parties I used to throw in front of my condo building on our front lawn. And I would pride myself on having different things people could do in each corner. And when I was putting together the festival, I just really, thought to myself, what are the different things we could do? What would people really enjoy doing? And I think because I like creating experiences so much, this was just really a great creative outlet for me.
So over the years in doing it, things have changed. You develop, mechanisms for certain things and things like that. What about the process has gotten easier, and what about the process has gotten maybe not easy, maybe a little harder or more difficult to accomplish over the 6 years that you've been doing it?
I mean, having the brand be more recognizable now obviously helps. For the first 2 years, like I didn't have a profile in cannabis or live events. Like nobody in the DC festival scene was like, have you talked to Caroline about her project?
Right.
So it was like a lot of convincing people that I was competent enough to even do this and that I was serious about it. It has gotten a bit easier now because people know the festival exists. It still feels like each year I'm reinventing the wheel as laws in our city do change and don't change, as lawmakers change, as city officials change, and you have to reconvince a whole new group of people. But I'm a bit more confident because I know what I'm doing now a bit better than I did 6 years ago. Definitely. So I think that helps, like just like that baseline confidence of kind of knowing what I have to do to get it done.
And thank you for your perseverance, because you're doing it for all of us.
Oh, thank you.
It's important. It's important.
Definitely. So I want to talk a little bit.
You said that don't smoke, Dave. Shut up, Dave.
Anyway,
no, ain't smoke.
I don't have to smoke. I'm a supporter.
But ultimately, it's about if it's a lifestyle, if it's a regards to your religion, whatever it is. If it's an opiate, there are certain things in this world that really take people to certain places, and they're gonna be all right. Leave them alone. Leave them alone. After a while, just leave them alone.
Okay. Thanks for that, Mike. I think that
I'm just saying, because you say mushrooms. I don't do cow shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how you gather a mushroom. You dig? So it's like I ain't got there yet in my life. I have never been around anybody who offered me one. I'm pretty sure I could be drunk and have a good time, my wife, and say, yeah, dude, maybe, I don't know.
Like you're not gonna smoke before the shows anymore, Mike. So Caroline, so when I met you, you had came up to Listen Vision that day, I think, to smoke with Javier. And correct me if I'm wrong, were you with it was Javier, the guy who ran the studio, DJ Boom? Were you were with them when they were smoking out of the apple? Did you do that with them?
I think I was with them. Yeah, I mean, I think that I'd come over to see Javier at work. I remember listening to your session. You guys are in the back studio.
Yeah.
Then yeah, I got like this like kind of mini tour of the studio, and we smoked weed in one of the front rooms. Yeah, it was a good time. I was like, this is nice. I could be an engineer. I don't want to do any of the sound stuff, but I can smoke weed and listen.
That's literally, yeah, that's literally what they do, you know. But the reason I brought up the apple and stuff is because you're probably one of the people who I consider a cannabis connoisseur. So I want to ask you a couple of cannabis-centric questions, if that's okay.
Okay.
And this is for all the smokers that knew you were going to be on and wanted to watch because of your reputation as being a cannabis connoisseur. In your opinion, what's the best munchie food?
You know, I think that is an interesting question because you have sweet and you have savory. And then there's texture stuff. So a little earlier today, I discovered dill ruffle potato chips, like dill pickle ones. Those were really good. They were very tangy and salty. And then, you know, there's always like good stuff with ice cream to get your sweet covered. But I really think that you need to like really go for it on the like salty savory so that the sweet is much more satisfying.
That is weed science there. That's but no, on the more serious note, with the festival, with this huge venue that you've had to fill every year, how much do you put into each year topping yourself from the previous year or doing something better or bigger for that next year of the festival?
We put our everything into that. You know, we know that expectations from our audience and our exhibitors and sponsors is high. For a lot of the small businesses that exhibit at the festival, this feels like a holiday season to them, just one day at the event. You know, and then there's also just trying to top ourselves in the way that we present the festival. We know that, you know, the festival is important in DC, not just because it's a fun time, but because it's an example of DC cannabis culture that's very visible. So we also want to do a good job in presenting the festival to the general public, how we talk about it, what our designs look like. What does the site look like? Does it look like a flea market, or does it look, you know, well thought out and tidy? Nothing wrong with flea markets. It's just not the vibe we're going for. Right. You know, so we put a lot of thought into how we present this event for the benefit of our fans and audience, but also because we know that it's so easy for people to point their finger at us and say, bunch of stoners. You know, of course they did that way. Of course it looked that way. Of course they fucked this up or that up. So we work really hard to be really organized and show that through our event.
That's dope. That's dope. So you talked a little bit about building a brand or building the name for the festival and for yourself as the coordinator, and how tough it was before that happened to get things going. So now that you have kind of built this brand and you're known in the festival circuit, what are some of the benefits of having that name and having that notoriety?
I think, and this is actually something that's happened over COVID, we've started all working much more closely together. I think people have seen the quality of the festival, whether they agree with the subject matter or not. They know what it could be and they know what it ends up being. So I think that it's easier to get people to pick up calls now because, you know, they know that this is a real thing and think they've seen how hard that I and my team work on bringing it to reality.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
that's something that I
Yes,
think has
ma'am.
changed.
That's right. It's hard work. It's real hard work. It's grinding.
Not for the faint of heart.
Right, right. So was there anybody, any artists or performers that you reached out to that you weren't able to get, or anyone that you would like to get in the future who you're looking forward to reaching out to?
So many, especially in the first couple of years, we really didn't have much in the way of budget. So I would always like hope I could get people to perform by just like appealing to them on like, you know, criminal justice reform and this and that. But we got some great artists that really understood what we were trying to do. And that's allowed us to kind of grow the talent that we're bringing in. I would love to have a multi-day festival in the future where we can have multiple headliners and we can do more things for different genres. But I think it would be a lot of fun to get Run the Jewels to DC. I think that would be really fun. Yeah, I would really love to be able to do that sometime soon. So we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe next year. Yeah.
Maybe.
I'll reach out to them. I know some people that know some people. I'll see if we can get them. No, I don't know anybody. But speaking of the lineup and people that you've had, people, artists like De La Soul, Talib Kweli, Cypress Hill, Luda, of course, is 2019, and now Red and Meth.
I feel bad.
You said what, Mike?
I feel bad because I stayed right there on the little side. It's a little side street beside the the field, right? And you can see him from right out there in the street.
That's perfect though. He even like gave shout outs to people outside their houses.
Man, we had a good time too. We had a good time. My son was like, "That's ludicrous. Why is Ludacris right here?" And I wanted to tell him, you know, but you know, I love my son. Guess when he was born? Guess when my son was? Guess when my firstborn son? 420.
That's so funny.
Oh wow. Yeah. So
I ain't lying to you. It is what it is, man.
It definitely is what it is. Thank you for that, Mike.
Good day.
So Mike talked a little bit about when he was asking about like you know, getting RFK, you know, some of the intricacies of planning something of this magnitude. I'm sure there had to be things in the beginning and even up until now, obstacles and things that you face in trying to get everything to run smoothly, trying to get everything to go off basically without a hitch. And I'm sure it's gotten easier over time, but there's still things that you know that you come up against that you have to face, or that you know now have gotten better at overcoming.
I mean, I think so. I was really lucky when I started that, like, I'm not afraid to ask people questions or ask for help. So I'd ask people questions, and if I still couldn't figure it out, I'd be like, could I get you to come and work on this with me? Like, you know, will you help me with this? But yeah, I feel like I have a broader network of people I can go to now. And I have people that have now been working with me on the festival for a few years. So there's stuff that just feels more automatic.
Right. Yeah. And that's that speaks volumes to your to what I saw when we had that conversation. And you know, just you know, just looking at like the passion and the what's the word, like you were absolutely, there was no question in your mind that it was happening. And just to have the audacity to say it with that confidence is what you need to make, you know, like it made me believe, like I was like, she's gonna put on a festival, it's gonna happen, you know. And so yeah, you know, growing your network and things like that definitely speaks volumes to that. And commend you so much for that. It's dope that you were able to, you know, visualize and conceptualize and speak something into existence so huge. And it's a great it's a great example for anyone, you know, trying to do something that seems impossible. Because like I said, in that first conversation, I remember you talking about the stress levels and not knowing where the money was coming from and losing sleep and things of that nature. And now 5 years in, like you know, it's so much better, and seeing that first one, once you get that first one off, you know, it's just dope. It's amazing to see, man. I'm so proud. I know I'm gushing a little bit, but it's dope to see it happen. So with that being said, for people who are, you don't have to raise your hand, Mike. This is an elementary school. You can't smoke no more. What you want, Mike? Go ahead.
I want to know, like, I forgot.
You can email me your question.
Yeah, Mike, you okay?
If you don't remember it right now, you can
You
always.
lost it? Yeah. He hit but what I was gonna ask you was, for anyone who's looking at maybe not putting on the festival, but something that, you know,
That's what it was.
shut up. Like like that in that it seems almost shush, Mike. Is that it seems this is what it evolves into, me just babysitting him for the rest of the show. He gets tired.
You know, when it's a festival every year. Ultimately, is it every year for the rest of your life? I mean, every year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when does it stop? I mean, just that's what I want to know.
When the people don't want it anymore, that's when it'll stop.
And I don't think that's gonna happen. Like, why would you? Yeah, I don't think it's gonna. You know, I don't think there'll be a time when people don't want, you know, live music and, you know, cannabis centric information, entertainment, and fun. So I think this is a niche that she's, you know, that you carved out. That's amazing. But my question was going to be, what kind of advice do you have for people who maybe aren't trying to, you know, do necessarily a festival, but for live events in general, or just trying to achieve something that almost seems, you know, on such a scale that some people believe it might be impossible and things like that? Because you've pretty much done the impossible almost, you know, with this. So, so what kind of advice would you give someone who came to you?
I would tell everybody to figure out how to express their idea on paper, because if you can write it down and clearly explain to people what you're trying to do, then you can sell your idea to someone, sell it to an audience, sell it to, you know, that's how you move it. You have to be able to explain it clearly. I think that was something that I was lucky to be able to do with National Cannabis Festival.
Yeah, you, and that was part of it. Like, you definitely very succinctly explained what you were trying to do, and I was like, yeah, this is gonna happen. That's dope, man. So yeah, man, I just wanna well, let's look at some of our comments and see who, because I know some people have started to say that they want those tickets, and Caroline has said that she's adding 2 more tickets to the giveaway, so we'll have 4 tickets instead of 2. So we're gonna pick 2 people. So let's check this out here. Give me 1 second. Let me just pull this up here. Oh yeah, we got a couple people. Let's see. So I'm gonna have an official list that I'm gonna put together at the end of the show, and I'm gonna go through the list and pick 2 names. And from those names, we are going to pick our winners. You know, pick the 2 names of the winners, and yeah, you're gonna get 2 tickets, so you and a friend can go check out the National Cannabis Festival, August 28th. Now, was the date was obviously because of the COVID. You know, you had to pick a later date, because I know you used to do it on 4/20 or around.
Back in April in 2022, but we just had to take an off year, do one in August, because we just really wanted to have the event this year.
Dope, yeah, and I think it's, you know, I think, you know, this is such a great example, or a great coming back. You know, it's like a great way to exemplify, you know, things kind of getting back to some level of normalcy, you know, and to have such a festival of such of this magnitude, you know, like you said, I think they needed it this year, so that was a great decision to still have it. When you hear things about, like, you know, the numbers starting to spike and things like that, does that you know, add a certain level of, you know, apprehension or anything? You know,
I think, yeah, for like humankind. I know that DC and our area has one of the higher vaccination rates in the country, and our event is outdoors. So I trust what our public health authorities tell us is safe and not safe to do. And just like in 2020, if it becomes unsafe, then we'll change plans as advised by them. But for right now, we're being told that we're good to go. The community in DC has stepped up to the plate, gotten vaccinated so that we're able to have public events again.
Yeah, a lot of people have been they talked about the numbers in the city being for the vaccine being, not completely where they want them, but on the better side of things, which is, good for events like this, definitely. Is one of the questions that I always ask all of my guests: if you had an opportunity to talk to a younger version of yourself, if you can get in a time machine and go back and talk to 12-year-old Caroline with everything that you've learned, all the wisdom that you've gained throughout the years, what would that conversation be like? What would you say to that young lady?
I would tell myself to trust my brain. Yeah, I think that is the thing that I've learned over the years, is that, like, I can have good ideas that I can execute on. And I think it just took me a little while as a younger woman and like a younger professional to like gain the confidence to trust my own ideas. Because to put on the festival, I had to quit my job and like walk away from all stability, because I knew that once they found out, they weren't going to be happy. And because it's a full-time job producing live events like this. So yeah, I would tell myself to trust my brain.
That's heavy. That's heavy.
Yeah, trust your brain. Yeah. Because, a lot of times we don't, we second guess, we question, and stifle our own awesomeness. And so it's amazing that you were able to, embrace your awesomeness and create this thing that's going to be, that's going down in history. Like you're going to be.
That's what I said for life.
You said what, Mike?
I said that's why I said for life. When you embark on something like this is a lifetime thing. She gonna be 117 with a dude be like, yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, but Caroline, do you think about like the legacy of it, like how this is something that's gonna live in, forever, pretty much?
Not at all. I just think still how I hope that I can do a good enough job to not embarrass our community or my family. I'm still at that phase in my work.
Well, I think the just, if nothing else, being around for as long as you have now with it, speaks to a level of prestige and things that you've been able to to keep with it. So so I don't think embarrassing. Like you said, you built a certain a certain level of respect around it, and people know the festival and know it for a certain level of quality. That's why they come back and they support it so much. So I think you definitely achieved that. That's so you don't have to worry about that one. So the second question that I always ask all of my guests is you're in a position, being the head of this festival, and even in the other things that you've done with event coordination and things of that nature, you're in a position where there are a lot of eyes on you at any given time. When people look at Caroline Phillips, when people see you, what is it that you hope they see?
I hope that they see a good ambassador of the drug policy community in DC and of the cannabis community. I know that it matters how I present myself when I'm speaking to city officials about the festival, when I'm talking to permit people. I know that I have to make sure that I'm putting my best foot forward. Again, because sometimes I'm the first line of impression that these folks are getting when they're interacting with the cannabis community. Maybe they've never talked to somebody who openly talks about how they use cannabis in their daily life. And I hope that I surprise them a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm sure you have. Yeah, definitely. And like you talked about, kind of breaking those stigmas around it, and just you yourself, how professionally and how well you present. Like you said, clearly, presenting the information about the festival, and letting people know that it's more than, you know, just like a party. It's education. There's, you know, so many other elements to it. And speaking of that, you know, the festival is of course the main event, but there's also some other, you know, events that you had. Like I know last year you did like a comedy show and a couple of panels and things like that. Are there things like that planned for this year?
We have a few things that we'll be talking about within the next week or two, but we're going to be doing some cool collaborations with DC Brow Brewing Company and some other local folks. Really everything that we're doing with MCF this year is about reinvesting in our community. So from the staff that we hire to work the event to the beer that we're going to serve at the event, like everything is about pouring money back into our city and into companies that have been hit pretty hard in the past year.
Right. And being a native Washingtonian, how important was that to you to make sure that you know, reinvested in the city and pour those resources back in?
You know, it was important. I think, you know, those of us on this call right now have all kind of hit an age where we have friends that own companies in DC. Some are new companies, some are old companies, some are trying to open companies. And it just, you know, it's different when you're looking at ways to help each other come back up together. So if working with a local beer company or a local ice cream company or a local coffee company has them bringing a great product to my event and making my attendees happy, and in turn, I'm helping their business grow, then I mean, to me, that's community reinvestment. So we're trying to have an all DC show this year.
Oh, that's dope. Yeah, it's very DC centric. That's cool, and that's definitely necessary. And you know, as a native Washingtonian, also, it's you know, it evokes a sense of pride and just in gratitude to you for doing that and for making sure that it's something that that gives back, because it could have easily, you know, just been something where you pull from other communities or other places, and those resources went to other things, but making sure that it comes back to help build and you know, enrich our communities is along the same lines, in my opinion, of what like people like my boy Jay Son are doing with the community, you know, outreach programs and things like that. And so because that capital is paramount to like I said, enriching the community and making things better and giving us the tools that we need. You know, you talked a little bit about outside of just policing, but have you know, also having community members and outreach and things of that nature. So this stuff is so very important. And yeah, man, I always say one of the reasons I started this show was to get people on here that I admire and just kind of, you know, tell them about it for an hour and a half, tell them how dope they are for an hour and a half. I mean, you definitely are one of those people. You know, like I said, having the audacity to believe, you know what I'm saying, that you can do something so much that you kind of spoke it and brought it into existence through your own will and powers. That makes you a superhero in my eyes. It's so dope.
I appreciate that.
Friend, you know,
but having the encouragement and community people like you and, you know, the East Coast Grow team, like even those little things at the beginning stages really helped a lot. But yeah, and I will always come on this show because I love getting to catch up with you, getting to reminisce about how long ago we met now.
Yeah.
This has been really fun tonight. I really enjoyed catching up with you guys. And I hope you're planning on being at the festival, right?
Oh, yeah. I got my tickets first, and then I got the other tickets to give away. So I'm definitely going to be there. And I know you'll probably be busy. I'm going to look for you, though.
You will see me. I'll be running around like my hair is on fire just the whole day. It's all day. It's nuts. I think I rack up like 20 miles on foot that day. It's always
right.
Experience.
So with the like this on a personal question. So after the festival, like the day, like after everything wraps up, which I'm sure you don't get out of there until probably the next morning sometime or something. But after everything's done, like what do you do to kind of like detox and relax and just, you know, kind of unwind and, you know, after everything happens?
I mean, I definitely smoke a bunch of weed, but I've learned over the years to expect an adrenaline drop after the festival, just from going so hard going into it. So I try and really give myself a break for the 2 weeks after and let myself feel all of the feelings. It's a really strange thing, but yeah, to go from moving 200 miles an hour to like back to like a casual 55 can really like do things to you emotionally. So I've learned to take it easy, enjoy cannabis, and spend as little time as I can online.
Right, online, right? Yeah. That's an interesting aspect. I never thought of just the, that transition of going from, like you said, moving so fast to kind of like, okay, everything's cool, So yeah.
And that's if you have a great show. Like it's then going so fast. If like it's a day that's not what you were hoping for, that's even harder. But
yeah. So, but everything's going to be amazing this year because I'm gonna be there. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be amazing.
Family reunion.
What's the lineup? What's the lineup again? Artists.
Mike said, "What's the lineup again?"
Oh, the lineup. So we have Method Man and Redman headlining. Young MA is coming down to Brooklyn to support them. Of course, we have Backyard like we do every year. Anti-Ballast is like an Afro funk band. They're like an Afro funk big band. So they're going to be with us.
Nice.
The Archives is a reggae band local. Puma from Thievery Corporation heads it.
Nice.
Then we have Lee Blackwood and Graham. They're an electric funk trio. And then Farrah Fawcett, who has been DJing the festival and opening it up for the past couple of years for us.
No.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We're excited.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be an amazing show. And some of the presentations or workshops and things that are going to be going on there. Do you have any,
lots of stuff. We're going to be talking about infusing everything from cake and coffee and beer. We'll be talking about sex and cannabis. We're going to be talking about the LGBTQ community in cannabis, talking about local law, federal law, how to get into the cannabis industry, how to get a job in the industry. So it really is like a full day of education if that's what you're coming for. There are going to be 4 separate pavilions running concurrently all day. So just grab a seat in the shade and you can get a lot of information.
That's dope. And so, yeah, man, you guys heard it. August 28th, 2021, National Cannabis Festival. It's going to be amazing, man. I got my tickets. I'm going to be there. Caroline, thank you so much. I know this is a crazy time for you leading up to the festival. So just the fact that you made the time to come out and hang out with us.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It was really great meeting you, Michael. We'll have to smoke weed sometime together. Aisha, it was great meeting you.
Definitely, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much.
It's our annual tradition, Dave. So you're like a good luck charm. I look forward to seeing you at the event.
Yeah. I'll definitely be there this year. I took off. I got my ticket. I will be there 100%. So you'll see me. On behalf of myself, Super Dave, aka Mr. Incredible, just Mike, Aisha, Patrice, who couldn't make it today, and our illustrious guest, National Cannabis Festival creator and curator, the wonderful Caroline Phillips, man. Thank you guys for checking out another episode of the Neighborish Livecast. We will still be doing the contest, but I'm going to announce the names in a little while. So just check back with the page and you'll see who won. All right, guys. Have a great one. Take care of yourselves and each other. And peace.
Good night.
Bye.